Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the opening round of the 2026 British Touring Car Challenge here at Formula Racing Lead. With Remco as you as our broadcast director, you join myself, Ross McIntyre, and Lorenzo Etrovic-Vuncic alongside me. Lorenzo, we're here at Donington Park to kickstart 2026, just a few days after the British Touring Car Championship proper was here. And what a weekend that was. We should be in for a very, very fun evening to kickstart our year here.
I absolutely agree, Ross, and I'm very excited for this series to start. Obviously, my colleague Amiros and myself were following the Super Tourers Championship early on this year, and that was a massive blast. So yeah, I'm very hopeful for the BTCC version of the series as well, and yeah, I think it's going to be proper fun, especially with how real life unfolded. I think this can be proper as well.
Well, we're hoping so. We're only a few minutes away from our qualifying session getting underway. You can see some cars already keen to make their way out onto the circuit, and the light will go green in just a few seconds' time. And you can see people scrambling, trying to get out there very, very quickly. Of course, as it is the opening round, no ballast on any of the cars. This is as even as it's going to get in terms of balance of performance. One thing, of course, we do need to keep our eyes on within the British Touring Car Challenge across this season is there are technically two different championships going on. Although this is official rFactor 2 DLC, the official BTCC DLC, which is why everyone's got the official BTCC cars and liveries and whatnot from the last couple of years. The balancing isn't great, unfortunately. One of the quirks of a wonderful simulator that's from 2013. So we do have separate front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive championships to keep in mind. Front-wheel drive is the much more popular category of the two and typically tend to be a little bit quicker overall in the simulator. But here at Donington, a track that does typically prefer the rear-wheel drive machinery. And in practice, we were seeing a lot of the rear-wheel drive cars up there, very competitive, very quick. The BMWs especially looking very, very quick. Callum Wilson was fastest at the end of practice in that number 24 machine. So we'll keep that all in mind, but we're underway in qualifying here. Only a short, sharp qualifying session here. And then at this Donington Park circuit, on the national layout, 3 18-lap races to look forward to. It's a very, very quick circuit here at Donington. So it's going to be short, sharp, and hard touring car racing for us to enjoy.
It is absolutely, and qualifying is going to be equally as crucial as well. Obviously, rFactor 2 has the quirk of a possible private qualifying session where you'd be the only one on track, but we don't have that here. We do have public qualifying, and as people have noticed, it is only 10 minutes, and it is the national layout around Donington, which means it is shorter. You will have more time to do the laps, but with more people around you, it's going to be quite a bit harder to set a proper lap, and you will have to also not worry just about you being impeded by you impeding others as well. So yeah, drivers are going to have to be on their toes quite a lot in qualifying as much as in the races, because qualifying will count equally as much as the races will. There's no points for qualifying, but it will be equally important, as I said.
It certainly will be. Looks like the first laps are coming in now. Callum Wilson once again quickest overall through Sector 1 and Sector 2 and does go to the top by 1.3 seconds ahead of the two sister BMWs of Taylor and Soroka, who we just saw coming around there in that number 2 Colin Turkington machine. Dave Brewster making his way down the back straight towards the Goddard chicane, and he'll work his way through. Again, looks like the BMWs are going to be the cars to beat at the moment. Everyone's still just getting their first laps underway. Everything may not be quite up to temperature just yet, so we'll expect these to get quicker and quicker, especially as the track begins to rubber in, and of course, especially as well, those Goodyear tyres start to get some heat in them. We, of course, do have our own safety car in this event as well, who will be going out and setting a qualifying lap just so that they can start the races, I suppose. It'll be driven by John Waldridge tonight in a Peugeot 206 Rally, I believe is the machinery at his disposal, as there is the man currently at the top of the table, Callum Wilson, having to work his way through another BMW as he comes round Goddard's. but it's looking good for Wilson. He was quickest in practice. Looks really, really solid out there in this quali session so far as well. But again, it's short and it's sharp. The BMWs, though, definitely appearing to be the quickest cars out there, as we're now on board with Artur Drobnik in the Toyota 333 machine, working his way around the top end of the circuit before getting onto the back straight, and then he'll head down into Goddard's and he can get a move on and continue to push onwards. So because it's such short, sharp qualifying session here, Lorenzo, you can't really afford to take your time. You just got to get out there and get on it straight away, and then hope that your lap time's quick enough to get yourself a solid starting position in race number 1.
Absolutely, and we can see the gaps are quite massive all across the field. We did say that this track obviously favors one type of car over the other, but nevertheless there's only 4 people within a second inside the top 4. Oh, as one of the cars has spun in the background, and that is one of the Fords, I think that was. Antonis Paparanopoulos, who were on. That's Craig Lua in the Ford machine, the 116. And we were talking about how crucial it is for you to try and go out as fast as possible, set the laps that you can, and hope you set them as good as you can. Craig Lua here has done the mistake of spinning in the final corner, but he's done the mistake of not trying to get back to pit lane as soon as possible, and he's not gone back to pit lane either to get new tyres or fuel up. So he's going to be trying to set another lap on quite worn tyres. Now there's going to be flat spots for sure on that Ford machine, and you do have to wonder whether that would be worth it in the end for the driver in the 116. And whether he can perform with the tyres that they are as they are now.
Well, we'll wait to see if those tyres have turned into 50 pence pieces, but Lua continuing to push onwards as he just made his way out of the old hairpin and into Starkey's Bridge. Very tricky part of the circuit there, and the run into McLean's where you're braking, it's off camber, it's uphill on the run into Coppice at the top of the circuit. Messina will come to the line. Goes up to P6 with a personal best, all 3 sectors there. Nice stuff from the 99 Cupra driver. Already only 3 minutes and 45 left in this session as Sam Cree takes a little trip through the grass. That's coming out of the crane of curves. He's cut straight across the old hairpin there. So obviously some issues for him, unfortunately, but he'll continue onwards. Yellow flags still waving in sector number 3. Order as it stands, you've got Wilson up the top from Taylor and Paparanopoulos in P3, and it's Soroka 4th, Morel 5th, Messina 6th, Drobnik 7th, Sterenberg 8th, Brewster P9, and Thomas Hole rounding out your top 10 at the moment, because that could change at the flip of a coin. Such is the nature of touring car racing. It's always so close. And even though that 3/10 gap at the top of the field is looking pretty impressive, especially in rFactor 2 standards, you look at how close it is between a lot of the drivers in the top 5, the top 6. We are expecting some very tight racing out there. But 2 minutes and 45 left in this session. It's getting into crunch time now. Lorenzo, these drivers really need to know the laps. We're seeing a lot of people going off the road. Somebody, I believe that was Kans Kumar in the Tingram number 1, Hyundai running wide there. Drivers really pushing it, but they need to stay on the black stuff to get a clean lap.
They do indeed, and one driver who seems to be doing fairly well at it, or well was Artur Drobnik. One of the better drivers in the Super Touring Championship. I mentioned earlier that my colleague Amir Reutz and myself commentated in. Seems to be back in the BTCC series. He was 4/10 up on his personal best in Sector 1, but something has happened to him because we see damage on the front left part of his Toyota there, and that might have been why he lost 1.3 seconds in Sector 2, and is going to hit traffic here as well with the 2 Fords in front of him, and that's going to slow him down even more. So he will have to hope to get by them by the end of this lap and then gun for the next lap, because he won't be able to gain any time on his personal best as it is like this. As you can see right there, he's 8/10 down on his personal best in Sector 1, so no hopes on improving this time about. Maybe next time about he can either pull off and get some clean air, or try and get past the 2 Fords in front of him and then gun for an improvement.
We'll have to wait and see. He's not going to have time to come into the pit lane. This is going to be last lap from pretty much everybody in a few moments' time. It's a 108.1 on top of the table at the moment from Callum Wilson and that 24 BMW. As we're now watching Antonis Paparinopoulos making his way through in the Vauxhall. That's coming through the old, or not the old hairpin, should I say, making his way through McLean's and up to Coppis. Another driver off the road in front of him in sister Vauxhall Machinery. But it looks to be okay. Yellow flags will wave though in sector 3 for the slower car. So drivers clearly maybe feeling a little bit of nerves coming into the opening round of the season, as we've now got yellow flags in sector 2 as well. Touring cars, they're not easy to drive. They're a little bit underpowered from what you'd expect, but there's also a lot less grip than you'd expect from these NGTC machinery as well. So you kind of sometimes you turn in, you put your foot down, and you just slide straight off the track, even though it's a little bit underpowered. It's a lot to wrap your head around if you're not used to touring car racing. Thomas Hole making his way past the safety car there in the number 11 Vauxhall. Of course, driven by Jason Plato, one of his last seasons in British touring cars. He himself has set up his own team now, of course, who saw them last time out a few days ago at the opening round at Donington National as well. We are sticking very much to the real-life BTCC calendar here in FRL British Touring Car Challenge. Checkered flag is waving at the end of this qualifying session. Can anybody challenge Callum Wilson? He is 5/10 to the good at the top of the field. Taylor's not on a lap. Paparinopoulos is on a lap, but 7/10 away at the moment in that Vauxhall Astra. He's coming to the final corner now. It's yellow in sector 2, but green in sector 1. Somebody very wide out there. It is an improvement, and it is up to second from Paparinopoulos, but still 5/10 away. He's managed to slide in there by an absolute whisker as the rest of the drivers finish their laps. Carlo Messina looks like he may well be one of the last drivers to complete a lap in that Cupra. The 99 machine making its way through the final chicane, bouncing over the curbs, trying to get that front end planted, trying to get the power down to the road. It looks like it will be an improvement, and he now goes second. What a great effort late in the day there by Carlo Messina. It's still 4/10 away, but 6th to 2nd at the checkered flag. That's a brilliant lap from him to start on the front row of the grid. But as we all make our way back into the pits, Lorenzo, nobody anywhere near Callum Wilson, 4/10 ahead of Messina on the front row.
Yeah, Callum Wilson quite comfortably on pole position for our first race here. But Carlo Messina and Antonis Paparinopoulos in second and third respectively put in a great effort late on to try and challenge him. Not quite there, but nevertheless impressive laps from the Italian and Greek. Jason Taylor dropped to 4th there in the end, with Sergis Roca in 5th, and then Martin Morel, Milos Chrzan, gosh, that's a hard name to pronounce, apologies to Milos, in 6th and 7th, Artur Drobnik 8th, Mitchell Sterenberg in 9th, and Dave Brewster to round up the top 10. And then moving down is Tom Brunel in P11 in the 777, Thomas Hole in P12, Kans Kumar in 13th, Hayden Sweet in 14th, Sam Cree 15th, Jordan McGonigal 16th, Alan Palmer 17th, D. Gordon in 18th, and Craig Lure in 19th, two 116s out on track. Abdullah Aroyevun in 20th, and I think we only got one other driver. No, we got a couple, sorry. Jack Bickerton in 21st, Doug Wickens in 22nd, again two number 1s out on track. John Wooler in the safety car, obviously setting a lap time so he may go out if needed, with Alexander Seraima joining late, not being able to settle a lap, meaning he will be starting 23rd and last.
Yeah, real shame there for Seraima, so he'll be going from the back in this one. Unfortunately, a couple of car clashes as well in terms of livery and what motors everybody is driving. Of course, the popular drivers, the likes of your Tingrams, the likes of your Ash Suttons, a fair few guys wanting to hop in those machines. So we'll just have to try and differentiate them where we can. Of course, there are some custom liveries out there as well. The Speed Eagles team, Morel, Cherzan, Drobnik in 6th, 7th and 8th respectively, all running their own liveries for their Toyotas. So it'll be easy to tell who they are at least. But a few other, most of the rest of the drivers all running official factory cars with the proper British touring car drivers on the side of them. Warm-up session is now going. It's only a short and sharp one. I doubt we're going to see a lot of drivers making their way up to the track. A few of them are, to be fair. As we saw, that's Soroka. I think he's going to do a practice start in that Turkington number 2 BMW. And yeah, looks like he is going to be doing that. To be fair, starts in touring car racing, relatively easy. You basically just dump the clutch. That makes sense. My sim racing career did peak in a touring car league. It's the only time I've ever won a race in sim racing before I hung up the Logitech. So I like to say I'm somewhat of an expert on it, but I probably aren't. But again, the starts, you just got to find the bite point, essentially dump it and go. And if you get a good enough launch, you'll be all right on the run into turn 1. It is a bit of an awkward turn 1 here at Donington at Redgate. Of course, it's a low to medium speed corner that's quite tight, but not quite a hairpin, even with the about 120-degree radius, so to speak. So it could be a bit interesting, and of course, not a lot of space on corner exit either. So we'll be keeping our eyes if people are going to be running off the road or anything like that. But Lorenzo, there's only a few minutes left to go in this warm-up session, then it'll be a minute until we're getting ready to go racing. What's going through the minds of the drivers right now as we get ready to kickstart our 2026 FRL British Touring Car Challenge season?
Well, looking at the qualifying results, I think what's going to be running through most people's minds, especially further towards the front, is how we're going to get past Callum Wilson, because that qualifying performance again was quite stunning to put on a 4/10 gap between himself and second place. Most of everyone else was quite close to one another. It was a matter of tenths really between the rest of the grid on what it looked like in the front. Oh, was as one of the placards out on track. Hopefully we don't see anyone use that tactic in the races. But yeah, I think the gap between first and second was the biggest inside the top 10, possibly even the top 20. So I think what's on most people's minds, especially again towards the front, is how do we get past Callum Wilson and keep us behind him? No, keep him behind us, sorry. And they don't want to be behind him, obviously. But yeah, I think the man who's going to be the most at ease might be Callum Wilson. Although, even though the gap was quite substantial in qualifying, he might have the added pressure, obviously, of thinking, right, they're going to be gunning after me and they're not going to be stopping at anything. How do I run away as cleanly and as fast as possible to ensure I get a comfortable victory? And again, it's going to be 3 races today, and this is going to be only the first one of them. It's going to be a question of where he finishes, how he finishes, and if he can finish equally as well in the other 2 races as well.
Certainly, it could be an interesting one heading into this opening race. As we come to the end of the warm-up session, let's just have a little dive through the calendar for you so you know what you've got in store in 2026. It is essentially the exact same, well, I say essentially, it is the exact same as the official British Touring Car Championship calendar. We're going to all of the correct tracks and all of the correct orders, just normally a couple of days after the rounds. Of course, here at round 1 at the Donington Park National Circuit, round 2 will be heading to Brands Hatch in the Indy layout. Round 3 off to Snetterton. Round 4, Alton Park. Round 5, Thruxton. Round 6, a personal favourite of mine, heading up across the border and into Scotland for Knockhill. Then round 7, we're back to Donington for the GP layout. Got that little bit of extra around there. Round 8 at Croft. Round 9 at Silverstone. Round 10 to round out the season. Of course, the traditional ender at Brands Hatch once again with the Grand Prix layout. So it should be very exciting to see how it's all going to unfold. But Donington, what a place to kickstart this season here in 2026, of course. It's been a stalwart of the British Touring Car Championship since the 1970s, one of the premier motorsport venues in the UK. It's hosted Formula One, it continues to host World Superbikes and British Superbikes. It was the long-time home of MotoGP as well for their British Grand Prix. And it is a real staple of the touring car calendar as well. 3 18-lap races await us. And of course, because it is the opening round of the season, no performance ballast coming into this one. So all of the cars, all of the drivers, in a sense, are at pure equals. No one's getting extra weight chucked in the car to try and hinder them, do that classic touring cars, just hold them back a little bit. It is Callum Wilson, though, who was the absolute cream of the crop in qualifying and starts on the pole position ahead of Messina. And we do have lights out, and we are going in the opening races. We've already got chaos in the background. Messina did not go away from the grid, and we've got 3 cars, 2 of them in a separate incident that have collected him further back. Big problems for the driver who started second and still does not move. What has happened to that Cupra as the rest of the drivers make their way through? It looks like Lua and Gordon both in the Ash Sutton Focuses. That problem, somebody big time off there as well, coming out of the Craner curves and could well rejoin the circuit. It's chaos here to open 2026. Alan Palmer went skidding into the old hairpin and nobody could avoid that one. Disastrous start for a fair few. But it's Taylor who leads at the front. Got a great start. Papranopoulos into second. Soroka in P3. Could be seeing a change for the lead here, though, as they come down the back straightaway. The Vauxhall does have the inside line into Goddard. Can he outbrake him? Yes, he can. Gets it done. Wonderful stuff. Antonis Papranopoulos is going to lead the opening lap of 2026. But Lorenzo, what a chaotic start we've just seen in race 1.
Yeah, that was a whole lot to unpack there at the start. Carlo Messina seems like he had no input at all, as if his wheel just disconnected on him and just let him down completely. We can see he's DNF'd now, and Dave Goodway looks to have DNF'd as well, so we already lost 2 people before we finished the first lap of this year's season. Heartbreak for the 2 out, and we see a couple of people in the pit lane as well. That's Bickerton in all the way down in 20th, entering the pit lane just now. And he's going to be going all the way down. He's the only one in the pit lane. Oh, I mean, that might just be the elevation change in the pit lane, but that looked like a whole lot of bouncing around. We can see, oh, look how scrunched up the bonnet is on that Hyundai. That might be a whole lot of aero damage, as we see yellow flags and more people dropping down. I think that was Cree dropping down. He still is. He's lost 3 positions there, I think, as Jack Bickett is still in the pit lane, as Thomas Hall has also gone off the track. He's dropped all the way down to 17th. So something has happened in Sector 2 there while we're looking at Bickett and Ross.
Yeah, it's all getting a bit crazy and chaotic, as you'd expect from British Touring Car Challenge here at FRL. But wow, what a chaotic opening couple of laps to kickstart our 2026 season. So Wilson, actually away from the lights, did get a good jump but dropped a fair few positions. Here's a replay what happened at the start. So a couple of people didn't go. Obviously we saw Messina, and we see the 2 Alliance Ash Sutton cars coming together and then piling into Messina as well. So that's what happened to Lua. Let's go on board with him. Was it just a coming together? Yeah, so he tries to avoid a slow moving car in front, is obviously unaware of the sister Sutton mobile alongside him. They run into each other and then manage to slam straight into the back of Messina as well. So real shame there for Craig Lua. He is now back out on circuit. Of course, 3 races this evening, so plenty more action for him, I'm sure. Even if it's been a bit of a disappointing start of the year, we have lost Goodway and Messina from this race in that opening lap chaos, though. Up the front, it is still Papranopoulos who leads in the Vauxhall ahead of the BMW trio of Taylor, Wilson and Soroka. So once again, Wilson starting from pole position. Got a good launch, but some chaos on the opening lap. And he's just dropped down the order a little bit. Did drop to 4th at the end of the second lap, but now has got past his BMW teammate in Soroka, so to speak, and now maybe trying to line something up on Jason Taylor. We'll wait and see if that's going to be a change for the lead. But Papranopoulos starting to extend that gap, almost at a second now back to the second place driver, and Taylor is probably thinking about having to go on the defensive to keep his teammate, so to speak, behind as they make their way through the old hairpin and up to the top end of the circuit. Doug Wickens has gone for a bit of a wild ride out of Redgate in the Tingram Hyundai, but he'll still continue around. He's P19 at the moment. And yeah, it looks like he may have just had a little bit of an off, potentially got it wrong on the way in. Perhaps let's have a look at what happened to Wickens as he comes into Redgate. Oh, lost it really, really early. That's a very bizarre incident, especially from a front-wheel drive car. You don't expect to see front-wheel drive machinery lose the rear like that on the way into the corner. But clearly a very aggressive setup and a very aggressive pitch in. And he just went for a bit of grass trimming, shall we say. He still continues on in P19.
It does indeed, and Wilson seems to have closed the gap quite some margin on Taylor in front. It was right under a tenth there. Oh, looked like he was on for a move there through into old hairpin almost. Well, for better of it, he might be on for something here though. And I think Wilson, if he gets past Taylor here, he might be on to Paprinopoulos quite soon as well. He looks to be through at the moment. He's still got the inside line for the upcoming turn, and he does get out in front for the time being. If he can keep that position by the end of the lap, I think he can peel away from Taylor, especially because Soroka is quite close by to them as well. And I think if Wilson manages to do that, he'll stay in front into the chicane here, and I think he might be leaving Taylor up for Soroka here and gunning for Paprinopoulos. The gap is now 2.3 seconds, but I've seen that Wilson has been lapping quite substantially faster than Paprinopoulos, so I think within a couple of laps we might have ourselves a battle for the lead here.
Could well be, but we're being treated to a brilliant three-way fight for 2 podium places from these BMWs. A lovely move by Wilson as he went side by side with Taylor out of the old hairpin, and for almost half a lap they were neck and neck, but did eventually get it confirmed. So it is now the 24 that's ahead of this BMW trainers. Trezan for Speed Eagles running off the road there in the number 23 car. Looks like he'll be able to continue in that Toyota though, and no issues there. Sterenberg now with a big move to the inside, and there's more chaos behind them as round goes. Kumar takes out Thomas Hole and the Plato Vauxhall as well. He got shoved out wide at the Crater curves, and there is no grip. There is nothing once you get off the racing line through there. You've got to be so brave to try and hang it around the outside. And unfortunately for Kumar in that Tingram Mobile, he just got it a bit wrong and it spat him out. And it looks like there's damage to that Hyundai as well. Let's go here once again. It was a huge move up the inside there by Sterenberg, and Kumar, it just looped itself. And unfortunately, we see there the number 11 just nowhere to go for Thomas Hole. Nothing he could really do either as Kumar came back across the circuit. We get the driver's eye perspective of the incident as they both desperately tried to save it, both desperately tried to avoid the accident, but that one, just nothing you can do. Kumar will continue onwards. He is in fact going to box, so clearly heavy damage to that Hyundai. He's in on lap 7. Actually meets the barrier there as well on the way in as somebody making their way out of the pit lane, interestingly, and that looks like it may well be Kumar DNFing from the race, and it is Hans Kumar down and out on lap number 7 of 18 in race 1 of round 1 here in the British Touring Car Challenge.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Hans Kumar to end the race the way that it did. But, I mean, unfortunately, it did appear to be driver error, so he can't be blaming anyone other than himself. That looked like it was Dave Goodway exiting the pit lane while Hans Kumar was coming in. So Dave Goodway, after retiring from the race on lap 1, coming back out on lap 8. So he's going to be 5 laps down now. Interesting choice to come back out. Maybe there was some sort of issue that we were unaware of that caused him to classify as DNF'd after lap 1. But he's back out on track now, so, you know, he'd be hoping for more people up front to retire from the race, as unfortunate as it would be from anyone's perspective. From his perspective, it would be quite nice as he'd be gaining more positions, as There we go, Craig Lure off into the gravel, and I think that's the old hairpin. Ooh, no, that's not the old hairpin, sorry. But the rejoin looked to be, well, as safe as it could be on that part of the track. And that looks to be like him being lapped, so it would be in his best intentions to give way to the... Oh! That's an interesting accident.
That's a huge lick into the wall as well. I'm amazed he's managed to get that thing going, because that went into the barrier at some rate of knots. And yeah, you can see heavy damage to that Alliance Racing 116 Ford. And he'll be crawling his way back into the pits, I'm sure. Halfway through this race now, lap 9 of 18. And look at this, Callum Wilson is right on the back of Paprinopoulos and is very much challenging for the race lead. There is damage on the front end of that BMW, but clearly not affecting Wilson as he tries to reclaim the lead that he lost from pole on the opening lap. Wilson already trying to line a move up to the inside, tries to get the run out of Coppice. I think he's a bit too far back for a go into Goddard's at least, but he might think about having a look, might think at least, or certainly will think about trying to fill the mirrors of the Greek Vauxhall driver in front as they head onto lap 10. And now we've got a huge fight for the lead on their hands. And if these two really start to battle, that's going to draw the two other BMWs in as well. Wilson's going to stick it up the inside at Redgate. And that should be the race lead. It's a lovely move by Callum Wilson. And now back to the front for the BMW driver.
It is indeed, and it looks to be already slowly running away from Paprinopoulos as well. He's only got past him and the gap is already 2/10. It might increase even further by the end of this lap as well, because Paprinopoulos doesn't look to be carrying as much speed as Wilson does. Look at that, look at after the old hairpin how much time it lost. It was nearly a tenth, the gap is now 3/10. But further back, Taylor and Soroka having their own fight and would hope to reel in Paprinopoulos ever so slowly as well, because the gap between Wilson and Paprinopoulos again increasing ever so slowly, ever so more. It's now 5/10 already going on the back stretch, so I think Taylor and Soroka, they might be looking to get past Paprinopoulos in the next 3 or 4 laps as well here, Ross.
Of course, what you've got to consider is just the nature of Donington Park. It is a track in real life that very much is preferable to rear-wheel drive machinery, because it's so easy just to kill your front tyres in the front-wheel drive cars around here, because it's just lots of high-speed corners where you're on the throttle all the time, turning and braking and steering and all of that at once. It's very easy to chew through your front rubber, and I feel like Paprinopoulos may now be struggling on those good years. So we'll wait to see if Taylor and Soroka are going to be able to catch up. Wilson looks like he's very happy to start bolting away at the front of this pack. Still this fight though for the final podium position between the sister BMWs. The 12 of Taylor currently just about holding on as we ride on board with the 2 of Soroka as they make their way through the top part of the circuit onto the back straight. And now it's foot to the floor, trying to get into the toe. Soroka, he'll be too far back for a move at Goddard's. And yeah, definitely too far back, but at least tries to close it on the brakes. If he gets a good exit out of here, could be similar to what we saw from Wilson to take the lead. Could think about a move into Redgate, but I think once again, just a little bit too far back as we phase our way through the magical trackside hoarding there that's just resting nice and neatly on the entrance, or the mid part of the main straight, should I say, as we come back down into the Craner curves. See the dust getting kicked up there by Wilson. He's so aggressive through that left, using all of the track and then some, but it's clearly working. His advantage at the front now up to 1.4 seconds. He is flying now that he's back to the lead. Soroka to the outside at the old hairpin. This would be a fantastic move if he can pull it off, but he's not able to. He'll have to settle, rest, regroup and recuperate and go again if he wants to get that podium place.
Yeah, and I think he might well be able to get that podium place, if not by overtaking Taylor, but then by getting past Paprinopoulos, because it's been, what, 2 laps since Wilson's gotten past Paprinopoulos. The gap between himself and Wilson is now equal to the gap between Paprinopoulos and Taylor. So obviously Paprinopoulos losing a whole bunch of time. As you said, he might be chewing through those good years faster than the BMWs. But looking a bit back now, moving on from the battle at the front, Tom Brunel here in the Vauxhall, same as the Papernopoulos one driving. Battling here for P10 with McGonigal, but he's not alone. You've got the Toyota of Cree and the other Ford of Sweet right behind him, and Sweet and McGonigal, already, obviously you can see they're working together in the Toga Racing group, so they might want to work together here. I think McGonigal might just be talking with Sweet to hold the duo of Cree and Brunel up to allow Sweet to get past them, and then they can run away together. You can see Sweet in the back flashing his headlights at the two in front, as we see Sam Cree just about getting past Tom Brunel there through the downhill section. And oh, there's a bit of dirt kicked up by Cree there, and Cree might look to get past McGonigal here as well immediately.
Yeah, nice stuff there to make his way through. McGonigal, a little bit deep there at the top part of the circuit though from another driver, and they're all chopping and changing. They're all falling and tripping over one another. This is going to get a bit interesting. We've got yellow flags in Sector 2 as well. Hopefully everything okay here on lap 14 of 18. They'll continue onwards. Cree then looking for a way past Hayden Sweet in that Alliance Ford. Can't quite find the move down into Goddard's as the two in front though side by side. Brunel and McGonigal gonna get a bit feisty. McGonigal's gonna lose a whole host of time and could be dropping further and further back down the order, and does so down to 13th. Such is the nature of touring car racing. Such is the nature of these British touring car machines. You make one little mistake, you get shoved out wide, and you just lose positions like that. It's like a go-kart race. You can't afford to be shoved out. You can't afford to have someone get the airballs out against you. You got to fight them just as hard, as Taylor now makes his way past Papernopoulos. And up into second place goes Jason, the Greek driver at the wheel of the Vauxhall. I think is really struggling on that Goodyear rubber now. He could be falling out of the podium positions very, very quickly. Still leading the front-wheel drive pack, of course, but there are technically two championships. The rear-wheel drive and front-wheel drive guys are split, as it's all getting a bit chaotic, as there's a driver who's well off the road, another driver who's well off the road. This is chaos here at Donington Park. My goodness me, Taylor, gets it wrong. Soroka's now off in the background as well, and Soroka does well to save it in the two. What on earth is going on here? Completely crazy. This is FRL at its most chaotic, but it's captivating to watch.
It is indeed, and what looked like happened there was Taylor being impeded by one of the lapped cars, looked like an FRL car. I think that might have been Alan Palmer down in 18th in the Vauxhall, impeding Taylor in the downhill section, who was trying to get past, obviously lapping him, and obviously Taylor, because of dirty air or just because of the bigger speed downhill, having to go off the track, followed by Palmer himself going off the track, and Taylor managed to rejoin successfully, still keeping the position ahead of Papernopoulos. But Soroka, I don't know what happened to Soroka. He looked to have lost it completely on his own, and Papernopoulos looked quite unsteady in that downhill section there as well now. So Papernopoulos still keeping together with Taylor. The gap is only 3 tenths, but it looks like the tyre wear seems to be getting to him more than it is to Taylor and Soroka. If Soroka can keep it clean for the next 2 laps, and if Taylor and Papernopoulos get held up by lap traffic enough, which they seem to have approached quite quickly yet again, then Soroka might be in that battle soon enough yet again.
Absolutely. Just some information for you on the chaos we saw at the start. Looks like Messina had a hardware issue, a problem with the throttle pedal, so he just had no go when the lights went out, and that is why he went nowhere at the start of this race and why he's down and out. Hopefully he's able to sort that out for race 2 and 3. Another driver off there in the background. That's one of Hyundai's, possibly Wickens, potentially down at the back of the pack. Or it may in fact be Bickerton, as Papernopoulos is, again, I would say gifted breathing room, but as they've tried to work their way through this chaos with the back markers. It has allowed Soroka back into the conversation. We've only got about 1.5 laps left to run for these guys, though, in the fight for the final podium place. Thomas Hull once again dipping wheels into the gravel there, coming through McLean's, but he'll continue onwards as he's trying to chase down Gordon in the Ford, as Seremaya locks up the front tyre, gets into the back of Drobnik in the Speed Eagles Toyota, and through goes the Ford. A little bit of a bump and run, but all's fair in love and war, and through goes Alexander Seremaya, and that is, well, it's not the cleanest of moves. I doubt that Drobnik is going to be particularly happy with that one, but it's a move nonetheless. And that Ford has gone up another place as Soroka gets it wrong, coming through Goddard's, trying to get in the move. Just about keeps it out of the barrier, but his podium hopes are up in flames. He could well drop behind Morrill in the Toyota. He does drop behind the Toyota. He drops behind Brewster as well in another BMW. He's going to drop behind Seremaya into 7th, maybe even lose out to Drobnik, down to 8th place, and your heart goes out for Sergei Soroka, who, a simple little mistake, too much speed, too much curve, and on the final lap, that fight for the podium is well and truly gone.
You have to feel for Sergei Soroka, but again, he looked too eager coming into the final chicane there. I think he could have kept it alongside Paparinopoulos if it was just a bit more calm on the throttle, and with the speed the BMW would have on the Vauxhall, I think he would have had him coming into the first turn. But one driver who had this race under his control for a good chunk of it, ever since getting past Paparinopoulos all the way back, was Callum Wilson, and he'll cross the line well, not completely, but most definitely hardly challenged to win the race and rebound off of there seemingly to celebrate. Jason Taylor coming home in 2nd. Paparinopoulos can consider himself to be lucky to be in 3rd, but he put on a stellar performance as well. Martin Morrill, though, lucky to be in 4th, but nevertheless he's going to take it home and run away with it. Bruce in 5th, Saraima in 6th. There's still a couple of battles going on here, Ross, though.
This is going right down to the wire in the battle for 10th place. Sweet just ahead of Brunel. Can Brunel find anything on the exit of Goddard's? Maybe. Crew right there behind them as they make their way out. I don't think there's going to be any change. It will be Sweet in the Alliance Ford that just about holds on for the top 10. But again, very, very tight racing right down to the wire. Still battles further back. Hull's not far away from Gordon. It's going to require a mistake from the Ford, though, in order to try and squeeze his way through, as Hull takes a very liberal view on track limits at the final corner. It will be Sweet that triumphs in this battle. But race 1 of 2026 is done and dusted. A few drivers still yet to cross the line, but who else would it be? It's Callum Wilson who takes a very dominant victory despite losing the lead on the opening lap on Soroka. That's actually what happened. He actually locked the inside front and it just pivoted him around. I thought he may have caught the curb at Goddard's, but no, he actually locked the front and it was going before he even got to the corner. Does very well to keep it out of the barrier, but a real shame for Sergei in that Turkington number 2 BMW. What was a pretty solid race overall. All comes down to naught. That fight for the podium done and dusted in the blink of an eye. Wow. Everybody take a breath. We've still got 2 more races left to run here in the 2026 opening round of the British Touring Car Challenge. It's Callum Wilson who takes the win from Taylor in 2nd. Paparinopoulos is P3 and he takes the win in the front-wheel drive class. Morrill is 4th and 2nd in the front-wheel drives. Brewster 5th and 3rd in rear-wheel drive. Seremaya is 6th place, 3rd in front-wheel drive. And then we'll do the rest all just by their order. It's Drobnik P7, Soroka in P8, Shazan in P9, and Hayden Sweet rounding out the top 10 in that Alliance Ford machine. Further down, Brunel in 11th, Sam Cree 12th, Jordan McGonigal in 13th, Mitchell Sterenberg was 14th, Davey Gordon P15, Thomas Hole in 16th, Dud Wickens was 17th, Alan Palmer 18th, Abdullah Aroyan in P19 in the Soul Infinity machine, and Craig Lure rounded out our top 20. A few laps down, unfortunately. Then we had Bickerton in 21st, who was even more laps down. Of course, he had that issue and rejoined the race after initially DNFing And then we did lose 3 drivers in Dave Goodway, Kans Kumar and Carlo Messina with that hardware issue that saw him go nowhere from second on the grid. So a really disappointing way to start the season for the Cupra driver. It was a race that had so much potential, a great last-ditch qualifying effort to move up from 6th to the front row. But unfortunately, when you've got a problem, when you put your foot down and nothing happens, well, we saw it all got a bit chaotic, and that's a real shame for him. Hopefully he can sort those issues out in race number 2. But Lorenzo, what a way to kickstart the season. And Callum Wilson with a statement of intent as well. A bit of an issue on the opening lap from him, dropped from 1st to 4th, but scythed his way back through the pack, and once he got back into the lead at the halfway point, never looked back, won by over 5 seconds.
Yeah, it was a very dominant display, obviously, as we mentioned. Had a very poor start, dropping, or was it 3 positions from 1st all the way down to 4th. But nevertheless, he fought back to the lead, and I think just about half of the race distance. So obviously, I think he can do that again in the next 2 races, obviously depending on where he starts. I think he can challenge for the lead in both of them if he's lucky enough. And yeah, I'm excited to see whether he can challenge for the lead, but equally enough, I'm interested to see who will challenge him for the lead in these next 2 races, because we've seen some excellent drivers out there today. Jason Taylor obviously being one of them, Antonis Paparanopoulos in that Vauxhall. Sergei Sroka was unlucky and on the penultimate lap there to drop all the way down to 8th while battling Paparanopoulos for 3rd place. Marcin Morel had a bit of a quiet race, Dave Brewster as well in that BMW. Seraima had quite a good charge. I think he started all the way down in last, finished P6. So I'm interested to see how he does in that Ford. But yeah, Callum Wilson, obviously, amazing race from him, but I don't think he'll go completely unchallenged today.
Well, we'll see how we go over the next 2 races. Still plenty of action heading your way here in the opening round of the 2026 FRL British Touring Car Challenge season. We're back in the warm-up for race number 2. Of course, if you're watching along for the first time, hello and welcome. Hope you've enjoyed what has been a very crazy way to start the year. Make sure you head over to SimGrid, where we run all of FRL. Find out how you can get involved. Find out how you can join the British Touring Car Challenge grid. Race 2 will be coming your way in a few moments' time. And with Remco de Gio as our broadcast director, it'll be once again myself, Ross McIntyre, and Lorenzo Etrovic-Funcic alongside, bringing you all of the chaos, shall we say, here at Donington Park, the national layout, of course. A touch under 2 miles, 3.2 kilometres in European speak, but it is fast round here. It is so quick. Lap times are very, very hasty indeed. As the drivers now, a few of them making their way out for this brief 3-minute warm-up. So, at the end of race number 1, Lorenzo, a few drivers I'm sure will be very disappointed. The likes of Carlo Messina, who didn't even get away from the grid. I'm sure that Sergei Soroka will be devastated, having thrown away that potential podium with just a simple little lock-up into the Goddard chicane. And a few others as well who got caught up in the chaos of the start. So, who do you think's kind of got a bit of a point to prove? Who do you think's coming back with a vengeance? And then, who do you think's main objective is just to make it round lap 1 this time?
Well, I think the biggest man where the intention to prove what he's got has to be Carlo Messina, because obviously we saw that late lap in qualifying where he placed in 2nd place, only to, obviously, hardware issues be damned, be completely out of the race before he even crossed the line to start his race. Starting down in, what is it going to be, P24, P25, I think he's got the biggest point to prove, and I think he'll be able to prove better than anyone else. He's shown his pace. If he keeps it smart and if he keeps it clean, I think he can climb up better than Pablo Seraima did in the first race. And again, I've mentioned Pablo Seraima. He climbed all the way from last up to 7th place by the end of the race. I think Messina can do equally, if not better than that. And I'm excited to be proven right or wrong by himself in this race. although you mentioned Sergei Soroka as well, obviously fighting for the podium in that first race, and then locking his front tyre and spinning out, dropping all the way down to P8. I think he can challenge for that podium in this race as well, and I think he'll be more hungry than the previous race to get it. But whether he'll be able to, whether that hunger for the podium will consume him and cause him to bring about even more mistakes, I think I'll be interested to see as well, because he will have that mental pressure on him as well, if not from anyone else then from himself. And obviously that's something that drivers always will struggle with, some more so, some less so, but we'll be interested to see whether the Ukrainian will be affected by that.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. We are not far away at all from kicking off race number 2 here in the British Touring Car Challenge, the opening round of the 2026 FRL season. And well, if race 1 was anything to go by, this should be an absolute belter. Checker flag out and warm up. Not many drivers out there making their way around. We're currently following Dave Goodway in the Vauxhall number 34. But seems to be running an all black scheme for this one. Maybe an issue with the livery template, unfortunately for him. But everybody is now making their way back into the pits. Looks like our one of the drivers who for whatever reason couldn't take part in the last race was John Waldridge, our safety car driver, which may explain why we didn't get a safety car in all of the chaos. Because he got kicked from the server before the race got going and wasn't able to rejoin. Such is the way of the mysterious ways of rFactor 2, I suppose. But rest of the drivers will be making their way onto the grid. Of course, race number 2, you start where you finished in race number 1. So for the likes of Messina, who of course qualified in second for race 1, but didn't get away from the grid, he's starting right down the back, which I'm sure he won't be particularly impressed with. Let's run through the grid order for you. Coming into this one, of course, it is the finishing positions of race 1, so you should be quite familiar with it. It's Wilson and Taylor on the front row. Papranopoulos is the leading front-wheel drive driver in P3 alongside Morel. Brewster and Sermer in row 3. Then it's Drobnik, Soroka, Cherzan and Hayden Sweet rounding out your top 10. Tom Brunel, Sam Cree, Jordan McGonigal, Mitchell Sterenberg, Davey Gordon, Doug Wickens, Abdullah Oroyan, Craig Lewett, Dave Goodway, Hans Kumar, Carlo Messina and Alan Palmer. That is your starting grid for the second race of the day, the second race of the opening round, and we are going as well. The lights are out. It's a good start there from Taylor, from second on the grid. The pole sitter does not get away quickly, and it will be Jason Taylor that leads the way down into turn 1. That's a late dive as well by Papranopoulos to get up into second, as there's once again chaos in the background, multiple cars sliding off the track. Dave Goodway, one of those involved in the black Vauxhall. Also Craig Lure seems to have been in the wars once again, and Aruyan in the Soul Infinity machine. Like we saw in race number 1, the pole sitter having issues on the early laps and dropping back into P3 on this occasion. Not quite as bad as it was in P4 in race number 1. So it's now Taylor, Papranopoulos and Wilson, your top 3, as the drivers all squabble over every inch of tarmac that's out there, all desperately trying to find a move as Hayden Sweet gets it a bit wrong, nearly collects 2 or 3 other cars. Somehow they're all still pointing in a straight direction. Somebody's well off the road in the background on the run out of McLean's as they come through to Goddard's chicane. This could get a little bit interesting. I think we're just about all going to make our way through. And we are indeed. So somehow, despite the chaos, the group running 2 or 3 wide have all kept it clean. Papranopoulos up the inside of Taylor. He gets the lead of the race. Here comes Callum Wilson now. Have to go the long way round at the crater curves. Gets it done beforehand though. That's crucial and confirms that position on the run into the old hairpin. Little bit less chaotic this time, Lorenzo, but still a bit of drama in the background. And once again, it's Papranopoulos who leads early doors.
It is indeed, and Papranopoulos seems to be getting the hang of the car early on in the race, then dropping all the way down, and Sergei Soroka is going to drop down again into the gravel, into the barriers. He has hit them head on. It's a question of how hard the damage is, and oh! That's another car in the gravel again behind him, right as well. I think that's Alan Palmer in the FRL Vauxhall, I think it is indeed. And he seems to have hit the barriers quite hard as well. It's a question of how hard the damage is for Soroka and Palmer and how affected they will be by it. I think Soroka, well, is going to be more than unhappy with the damage he received compared to Palmer, because obviously Soroka has got so much more speed in that BMW compared to Palmer in the Vauxhall. Objectively speaking, one utilizing their car better than the other, especially looking at race 1 and qualifying, with no disrespect obviously to Alan Palmer, but Sergei Soroka again let down by what looked to be slight contact, where I think it was either Martin Morrill or Dave Brewster. It was one or the other he was battling. But nevertheless, looking back at one of the Toyotas we were mentioning in race 1 quite a lot, Sam Cree is in P9, currently holding up a train behind. Well, not a train, but no. Cree seems to be having some internet issues there, as he fell 3 positions for a split second and looked to have been rubber banding, but now he seems to be back. Someone else doesn't appear to be back. There was yellow flags in sector 2. That's Alan Palmer dropping again in the same place out in the gravel in that Vauxhall.
Palmer having a pretty rotten opening round of the season so far, unfortunately. That Vauxhall seems to have spent more time off of the road than on it in the race and 4 laps we've had so far. Yellow flags out in sector number 1 and don't seem to be going away anytime soon. And now they do. Hopefully everyone's okay. That'll be why there's yellow flags. That's Doug Wickens, who's gone round at Redgut. Bit of an awkward place to go off. Also taking another car with him in Dave Goodway. Somebody else trying to slide their way across the road as well. Goodway, another driver who, again, seemingly struggling to keep it on the black stuff at Donington Park this evening. But he will get going once again and will continue to push onwards. Wilson already a gap of 1.7 seconds ahead of Taylor, and Papranopoulos in P3 a further second behind. So the front 3 starting to spread out just a little bit in this one, as Goodway actually looked like he locked the rear there a little bit. Donington's not really a track where the front-wheel drive cars tend to pick up the inside rear tyre. Maybe that was happened, but maybe it just got light and it locked up. That could be what's causing his offs, is that the inside rear is getting light but not fully coming off the ground, and it's locking the tyre and sending him spinning. So that's what it looks like to my eyes anyway. Here's Serema trying to work his way through Brewster in the BMW, just in front of the Morrill in the Speed Eagles number 80 Toyota, on board with the Ford machinery as we make our way in through past the old hairpin. Little look to the inside on McLean's, can't quite find anything. He'll have to maybe try and get a run out of Coppice down the back straight to see if he can find anything as they make their way to the top part of the circuit, running round. Yellow flags once again in sector 2. Looks like Cree is dropping a couple of places. Will stay on board with Alexander Serema for the time being. He's going to be too far back in that Ford to make the move into Goddard's. Lock up in front though for Brewster, so potentially the opportunity if he gets a good run out, but just that drive, that instant power from the rear wheels of that BMW means he's just about gonna get away with that one for the time being. More battles in the background now following Sterenberg in P8. He's holding off Hayden Sweet. Or I say holding off, he's actually trying to attack Drobnik, should I say, in the sister Toyota machinery. And Sterenberg, a pretty solid race, number 1. Let's see if he can find his way through. Of course, Sterenberg not part of the Speed Eagles team. He himself just running the number 37 Car Gods Toyota. Well, in front though, Drobnik in that custom 333 car. 2 Toyotas though, going at it. Let's see if Sterenberg can try and find anything here.
I think he might be able to on the backstretch. He doesn't seem to be gaining as much time, or he seems to be gaining more time on Drobnik through the corners than Drobnik seems to be gaining on Sterenberg, or it might just be a pace difference altogether, as Sterenberg sends it on the inside there on Drobnik, gets out in front. He is completely in front, so he doesn't need to be side by side here on the backstretch, but Drobnik will make it so anyway, or at least attempt to. Going into the chicane, Drobnik pulls out of it, which means Mitchell Sterenberg gets that P7 and keeps it, and looks to run away with it as well from Artur Drobnik. Obviously, Artur Drobnik in the Super Tourist series early on this year, one of the more consistently performing drivers, but I think it was only 4th and 5th in the championship. And Mitchell Sterenberg, who to me personally, an unknown as he wasn't there back then, seems to have gotten the hang of the Toyota better than Drobnik has, and gets out in front of him. As we now turn our attention to Sam Cree and Tom Brunel. These two had an accident 2 laps ago, which I would like to take a look at later on if we could, after this battle concludes, where it was them two as well as Messina dropping down and losing positions, as these two look to be gaining them back, and Brunel seems to be wanting to gain his position back on Cree, and has done so quite comfortably, although he's not quite clear of him yet.
Yeah, not quite fully confirmed yet, as there is big damage to the front end of that Plato Vauxhall as well for Brunel. So, that's a car going off in the background, I guess. As here's what happened to Sam Cree. So Cree's just gone for a ride. Hello. So not entirely sure what happened there. So yeah, that was Brunel that we saw off the road. He's not in the Plato Vauxhall. It was in the 777, should I say. So he's gone off the road, and then Cree's just gone off in sympathy behind. They've both met the wall. Cree a little bit harder in that Zach Gamble 42, but they have both got going again. But again, there will be damage to the front end of both cars. But yeah, bit of a synchronized accident there, I suppose you could say. Brunel, though, holding on to that position for the time being. Cree unable to make any dividends to try and catch back up. On lap 8 of 18 here in race number 2. We'll go back to some of the action further forward in the pack. Serema trying to chase down Brewster. He is the leading Ford at the moment, currently 3rd in the front-wheel drive class. Morel in 4th is 2nd. Papranopoulos in the Vauxhall in 3rd is leading the way there. And Brewster in P5, he's P3 in rear-wheel drive. Of course, our 2 front-runners in Wilson and Taylor in sister BMWs currently leading the way in that one, as they make their way through the Craner curves, as we're just about halfway through this race now. And nobody in this battle looks like they're immediately trying for a move. They're all got a bit of breathing room between them. But you know how quickly that can change in touring car racing. You know all it takes is one little mistake or one good run, one singular look-up, and you can be tumbling down the order. Or you just find something a little bit special. You find that extra tenth or two, and you can be flying through. And that could be what Serema is trying to do here in the Ford, because he is closing up to the back of Dave Brewster, and may not be far away from P5 at all. He's not going to get it done through Goddard. It's too far back, and the BMW with that rear-wheel drive will get the better power, will get the better dump out of the corner. As I say that, though, Serema does draw alongside Brewster on the way out of Goddard's. He would have had to seceded the position anyway, because he was on the outside on the run into Redgate. But Serema, as you can see, just how much those front-wheel drive machines understeer through the fast corners here at Donington Park. Now has to try and cut it out all again, but it looks like the bottom end, or the bottom or the top end of the circuit, should I say, the fast part of the circuit, that seems to be where this Ford is quicker as we ride on board. Bit of a mistake on corner exit there from Brewster on the run into McLean's. Surely won't be a move here from Alex, and indeed there isn't. Another lock-up from Brewster. He's going to be driving on 50 pence pieces if he's not careful, torturing the Goodyear rubber underneath him. Let's see if Serema can find anything here. No, I think Brewster is just about going to get away with it for the time being. It's very much a stalemate in this battle for P5 as it stands.
It is indeed, and I'm scared that it might stay a stalemate, because Brewster, he's using up his tyres through personal mistakes way too hard, and Serema is using up his tyres trying to catch back up to him and trying to overtake him, Although having said that, Brewster seems to have caught up quite well to Martin Morrill here, and he looked to have made the move on the outside of the Polish driver through Redgate before better of it, although that has allowed Pablo Serraima to close on both of them now, but not enough for a move. So now we've got a bit of a three-car train as Morrill there locks up. Brewster tries and pull alongside Morrill, but instead Serraima pulls alongside Brewster, who goes off into the grass and into the tyre barrier, and there was contact, I think, between Serraima and Brewster, and I think Brewster will be feeling hard done by the Spaniard there, dropping all the way down to, I think it might be P8 even. It's all the way down to P10 for the British man in the BMW. Hard break for him in the BVSR car, but I mean, he's pulling over. He's calling it quits for race 2, it seems, Dave Brewster, and he will not continue.
Yeah, big damage to that BMW. It was evident from that big hit into the wall. He was seen pulling over once again, just getting out of the way. Here's the incident itself. So Brewster shoved out a little bit wide. It just doesn't see Serraima, I think, on the outside, or thought he was clear. A big whack into the tyre barriers there. And yeah, that's going to be a pretty toast right rear toe link, I would imagine. And yeah, just the lightest of touches between the pair. And Brewster just sent for a ride. Look at that. Wow, what an impact with the barrier. And to be fair, he tried to get it going again, but I think he took one corner and went, look, this thing's broken. We're going to sit in the pits for about 3 laps getting it repaired. May as well call it here, as we're now on lap 12 of 18. Hayden Sweet looking to the outside of Drobnik, and they come together. They're both off the road, somehow both of them staying out of the barriers. Drobnik, it was almost a half spin, if anything, because it looked like he kind of saved it. That was crazy through there. Sweet's now going to lose out to McGonigal. And the row-bottom 32 car is overtaken by the Dan-Cam 27 Alliance Ford. Of course, teammates in real life, not quite so here in the British Touring Car Challenge in FRL. But Sweet, I think, just got unlucky there. Probably took avoiding action, maybe from Drobnik. I wasn't sure if there was contact between them. Let's have a look here. So Drobnik has the inside, and although there was definitely a touch in there, and Drobnik does well to keep it kind of going roughly in the same direction. He definitely gets off the better of the pair of them in that Speed Eagles 333. And then you see there in the background Jordan McGonigal going, thanks very much, you don't need to ask me twice, as the invitation for the move is nice and easy. And actually it looks like Drobnik squeezed actually there. So in fact that was more, I think, Drobnik's cause than that of Hayden Sweet. You can see there, I mean, it's not really a gap that was there in the first place, but I think maybe a bit more room should have been offered, and damage to the front end of that Ford as well. Hayden Sweet's probably going to be feeling a little bit hot under the virtual helmet after that one. Lap 14 of 18, there is Sterenberg looking for a move on Soroka. Can't quite find it into Goddard's, as we've got a yellow flag out in sector number 1. Let's see if anybody is dropping down the order. No, got as quickly as it came. Looks like everybody is okay. That'll be what the yellow flag's for. It's Craig Lure, who's once again taking a little trip across the grass, but he'll continue to push onwards. I wonder if he's met the wall. Wonder if there's damage potentially to that Ash Sutton Ford, as he's getting lapped by a fair few now, running second to last on the road in P20. Only the one DNF in Brewster. Here's a replay of what happened to Craig Lure as he comes into Redgate. And, oh, that's a very, very weird place to get it wrong. Just too much speed into the corner, I think. Runs it very, very deep, and then just stays off the road, and then loses it again as he tries to rejoin. Was lucky not to collect that other car as well. And Craig Lure, bit of a red face, head in hands moment there. Lucky to still be in race number 2.
And lucky for Craig Lure in both races so far, but again, it's 3 races tonight, so you might have third time lucky here. One driver who's had it lucky this race, Sergei Soroka. Obviously, you mentioned how we saw how on lap 1, I think it was lap 2, he did take a bit of a trip to the gravel and fell all the way down to, I think it was P18, something like that. He's gone up all the way back to P6. And I mean, the gap between himself and Seraime is 9 seconds. I don't think he'll be able to catch that in 3 laps unless something horrifically wrong goes for the trio in front of him. But, well, the duo in front of him, because it's Morel and Seraime now battling for P4. But nevertheless, a stunning drive from Soroka to climb all the way back up into the top 10. And I think he can be happy with himself. I think Messina as well, starting in last, is now in P11. Although he is behind the pairing of the Toga 4s of McGonigal and Sweet. Sweet now getting in front of McGonigal, who went off into the gravel. And Messina looks to take a piece of that pie as well. And he does so quite liberally with the track limits on the inside there. And McGonigal looks to get back at him immediately, although he doesn't and backs out. Which has allowed Drobnik to close in on him quite rapidly as well. And Drobnik now might look to get past McGonigal as well immediately here into the final chicane.
Looking to the inside at the very least, later on the brakes into Goddard's as well and gets it confirmed. Lovely textbook maneuver from Artur Drobnik and moves that Toyota up into 11th place. Brilliant stuff. It's as simple, it's as easy as you like, but sometimes those overtakes are the most effective. Lap 16 of 18, time quickly running out in race number 2 here this evening. Will McGonigal try and have another go? He's going to have a look to the inside of the crane of curves, and they come together as Drobnik turns in. I think he thought McGonigal was clear, and McGonigal's going to go on a ride and come back out onto the circuit. Great avoiding action there by Kumar and Goodway. And McGonigal now down to 15th. Could be more, will be more as he lets a few other drivers work their way through before he rejoins in the safest manner he can. But it's still awkward. And what a shame for Jordan McGonigal, who was running a very, very solid race in that Ford and now drops down into 17th after just once again the lightest of knocks. And he's found himself dropping well down the order in that Dancan 27. Up the front though, Alexander Serema is right on the tail of Morel in P4. They've got a bit of traffic in front of them as well. And there could be a change for 4th place here. The 2 front-wheel drive cars are going to go at it wheel to wheel. Toyota leads Ford with the traffic in front. Can either of them take advantage of this? Morel's going to duck it to the inside. It's the Infinity that does dive out of the way. But it has held up Serema a bit more, if anything. That's Ariuen, who they're just working their way through now. They'll be heading on to their penultimate lap in a short moment. But that Ford looks like he really wants to get through that Toyota as soon as possible, and needs to get through as well, because they're about to be heading onto the final lap.
I think he might not be able to do so here, you know, Ross. I think Seraime, he's as close as he can be. The gap there, you can see 3/10. But I just don't think that he has in that Ford what he needs to get past Morel in that Toyota. I think he spent so much of his tires trying to get past it was oh Lord, I've just forgotten who he was battling, but it was
it's all right, Lorenzo. We'll push onwards. It's fine.
We push onwards. I was completely taken aback about what happened there. That I completely forgot what I want to say about Seraime and Morel, but Seraime has found a way to get past Morel, although it was immoral from him to do so. Martin Morel spins out onto the track, lucky not to collect anyone, but he'll be dropping down all the way again. And one man who didn't drop down, except from on the start again, Callum Wilson, gets another victory today. I thought he might be challenged, he didn't look to be that hard. And Taylor again in P2, Paprinopoulos gets another podium. And Seraime, once we see him in the back there, is coming across the line to claim perhaps an undeserved P4. As Sergei Soroka, very much a deserved P5 from him. But I think that incident between Morel and Seraime, not sure whether it'll be looked at after the race, but in my personal opinion, I think it should be.
Bit of an interesting view on track limits there from Messina as he crosses the line in P9 just ahead of Hayden Sweet. And we've still got battles further back in the pack. McGonigal trying to recover following that spin. He's going to try and go the long way around. Nearly 3 abreast into Goddard's. Can McGonigal get 2 moves done? No, he can't, as he finds the grass on the brakes, and it'll all be for naught, as up in front of him, the 2 other drivers managed to maintain their position. So McGonigal comes home P17 just behind Sam Cree in the Cargolds Toyota, and Davey Gordon in the Ash Sutton Ford. That all got a bit tense. Here's the incident once again between Morrill and Serena. And he was, again, under the lights of the touches, but Morrill just got shoved off the road. And apparently the grass here doing a better impression of an ice rink. Again, just a little nudge, and suddenly you've got absolutely nothing on that Toyota. Well, Morrill's just a passenger, does well not to slash into the side of Serena. A bit of luck on his side, I suppose. And again, does very well as well to recover to P6, only dropping 1 place. Well, outside of the place he lost to Serena, with Soroka sliding by into P5. Once again, though, it's Callum Wilson. He's 2 from 2 in 2026, with Jason Taylor second, Papranopoulos in P3 and taking the front-wheel drive win. Serena is 4th and takes 2nd in front-wheel drive. Soroka is 5th and takes 3rd in rear-wheel drive. Morel is 6th, takes 3rd in front-wheel drive. Then we've got Sterenberg 7th, Shazan 8th, Messina, a fantastic drive from 22nd on the grid up to P9. And then it's Hayden Sweet who rounds out our top 10 positions at the end of the second race of the evening. Dave Goodway was P11 with Kans Kumar, the American, in P12. Tom Brunel was 13th with Artur Drobnik in 14th. Sam Cree 15th. Davey Gordon 16th. Jordan McGonigal tried to get up to 15th on the final corner on his recovery drive, but got it wrong and finishes 17th with Doug Wickens P18, Abdullah Harouyouen in P19, and Craig Luer finishing our top 20 drivers at the end of race number 2. Then it was Alan Palmer in P21 in the Vauxhall, and Dave Brewster, our sole DNF, after we saw him meet the wall hard coming out of the old hairpin. Drove about a few more corners, then pulled over and called it a day. Amazed we've only got the 1 DNF in that one, given it was once again, Lorenzo, an absolutely chaotic race. And once again as well, it was Callum Wilson. He's 2 from 2 so far this year.
He is indeed, but it'll be interesting to see whether he goes 3 for 3 so far. Obviously, race 3 in the British Touring Car Challenge here in FRL. There will be reverse grid, but in a manner that you might not expect elsewhere. Obviously, Ross and myself will be a bit more accustomed to this, as we've come over from a league that does something similar, called GPWC, where it is a randomly generated number between 6 and 15 for who will be on reverse grid pole. And the reverse grid pole will be number 10, meaning Hayden Sweet will be our reverse grid pole sitter for our third race, meaning Callum Wilson starting all the way down in P10. It'll be interesting to see what he can fight all the way through the field in 18 laps and get his third win tonight and of the season as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the reverse grid unfolds, of course, similar to the actual British Touring Car regulations as well, where you pick the reverse grid out of a hat, but it's not 6th to 15th in IRL BTCC. It's 6th to 12th, I want to say, off the top of my head. So I think the person who potentially gains the most from that is Carlo Messina, of course. He qualified 2nd for race 1. Hardware issue means he had no throttle on the grid, couldn't get moving, and then got taken out by 2 cars that were having a separate crash behind him and just slid into him. So then had to recover from 22nd on the grid in race 2 up to 9th with a fantastic drive. Now goes from 2nd once again in race number 3. And although Callum Wilson has very much been the class of the field so far this evening, 2 out of 2, of course, and looking, I'm sure, to try and complete a hat-trick of wins to kickstart 2026 in perfect fashion in the FRL British Touring Car Challenge. Messina, our sole Cupra driver, has looked, well, he's looked very fast. He's just been very unfortunate. A hardware issue ending his race 1 before the lights even went out. And then, of course, having to come from the back of the grid in race number 2. So I think he's on for a very, very good opportunity here is the Cupra driver to take a strong result, to at least scavenge and salvage something out of this evening, which had a lot of promise at the end of qualifying, but pretty quickly, unfortunately for him, turned into somewhat of a nightmare. So we'll wait to see what he can do. Hayden Sweet, though, as well, been driving very, very strong. Callum Wilson will be going off of P10, our race 1 and 2 winner. He's been really, really struggling for the getaways as well. Just hasn't been quite able to launch it away when the red lights go out. And now that he's back in the pack, now that he's in the midst of all of it, could be a bit chaotic for him. So I think those are the two, Lorenzo, that we're going to need to keep our eyes on. It's going to need to be Messina starting from second, and Callum Wilson starting from P10.
Absolutely, but I'd also like to throw in Alexander Seraima into that mix with Wilson and Messina. I think Seraima, he was shown in race 1, I think it was, how good he is in that Ford. He fought all the way from last to the top 10, and obviously a bit under some dubious circumstances, but he did get a top 5 in the end in that race too. He will be starting a bit further back, but not by that much. He will be in 6th place, I think it is, starting race 3. But nevertheless, I think he has the quality to go up through the field alongside Callum Wilson in this race. And I think if we're lucky enough, we might have a three-way fight between the 3 drivers mentioned by myself for the lead here, and I think it'd be absolutely lovely to see that to round off today's round.
We'll wait and see. 2 races done at the opening round of the 2026 FRL British Touring Car Challenge season. 1 more to go coming your way, and it is the reverse grid race number 3. Once again, 18 laps here of the Donington Park National layout. We've had 2 excellent races, 2 chaotic races. Let's see what race number 3 is going to be throwing our way. With about 15 or so seconds left in the warm-up session, only 1 minute when the race session starts. Only 1 minute between the start of the race session and the red lights going out. So it's crucial you get the right setup on the car, you get the fuel load right, you get your tyres right, and get out onto the grid pretty sharpish. Checkered flag does now wave in the warm-up. It is time almost to get going in race number 3. Hope you've enjoyed all of the action so far this evening here on Formula Racing League TV. Of course, we'll be bringing you all 10 rounds of the British Touring Car Challenge live across the season. Following the British Touring Car Championship calendar proper, we'll just be running a couple of days later than the actual event. So you get to watch the proper touring cars going around, and then you get to watch some of the best touring car sim races in the world getting out there and giving it their all. Let's run through the grid for you. Coming into our reverse grid, race number 3. It is Hayden Sweet who finished 10th. He is on reverse grid pole. And of course, the top 10 all swapped around. So Carlo Messina is P2, once again starting on the front row. Let's see if he can get redemption from that hardware issue at the start of race number 1. Milos Trezan is 3rd with Mitchell Sterenberg in 4th. Marcin Morel is 5th with Sergei Soroka in P6. Alexander Serema in P7. Antonis Paparinopoulos in P8. Jason Taylor 9th. And 2-time race winner this evening, Callum Wilson, starts in P10. Kans Kumar is 11th, or Dave Goodway, should I say, is 11th with Kans Kumar alongside in 12th. Then it's Tom Brunel, 13th, Artur Drobnik, Sam Cree, Davey Gordon, Jordan McGonigal, Doug Wickens, Abdullah Aroyuen, Craig Lua rounds out our top 20. And it's Alan Palmer, Dave Brewster, and Jack Bickerton in 23rd. He's been having some issues, unfortunately, getting onto the server tonight. So he has missed the opening 2 races and starts race number 3, or hopefully starts race number 3 anyway. At the back, it is lights out. We are go in the reverse grid, race number 3. Great launch there from Hayden Sweet from pole position. As we see to the outside, tries Messina. Look at Soroka, who's got away like a lightning bolt up into P3 already. But the BMW cannot challenge the 2 front runners as Messina looks to sweep it through on the run out of Redgate and into the Craner curves. It is Messina from 2nd, and it's redemption from race number 1. The Cupra goes up into the lead early doors here in the reverse grid race, as this time even though there's cars off the road. It's a lot more calm and contented for the time being early doors in this race. As I say that, somebody round. It is Soroka who takes Shazam with him on the run into the right-hander there at McLean's. And it is chaos once again on the opening lap. Another driver off as well in the background. And Doug Wickens also in the Tingram Hyundai going off the road. But up the front, it's Messina who has the advantage ahead of Sweet, ahead of Sterenberg now in P3. And the Cupra of Carlo Messina is going to lead lap 1 here.
It is indeed, and again, for the third time running today, heartbreak for Sergei Soroka. It happened in race 1, we got collected. In race 2 he got collected. Race 3 immediately again into the gravel, same place on the track. I think same point in the race as well. So he was so unlucky today, and hopefully it doesn't turn out to be a pattern for the Ukrainian driver coming into this season. But nevertheless, one driver who was unlucky at the start and now seems to have luck on his side. Carlo Messina is leading the race, and he's got quite a big gap already. On P2 it's a 1.6 second gap, now going up to 1.7 as we saw yellow flags flashing in sector 2. I think it might have been Tom Brunel dropping down, because I think he's lost quite a lot of positions. I think it might be someone else. It might have been Wickens involved as well, and Soroka potentially as well, because he's lost another 3 positions.
Yeah, it's getting a bit chaotic for a few drivers out there. Morel dropping down. Orioen also losing places. There's contact between himself and Drobnik behind as he tries aggressively to block and to break the toe, but he is going to lose places as they slide on by. On the run into Goddard's down the back stretch, onto lap number 3 here. 4 abreast into Redgate, getting a bit chaotic up the front. Looks like Papranopoulos is going to hold those 3 cars, all converging into one. Papranopoulos, Cree, Morel coming together. Somehow they're all going to be able to continue onwards. That could have been an absolute disaster. But not only have they kept it going, not only have they kept it straight, and hopefully with minimal damage, they didn't take anybody else with them as well. Crazy scenes, ludicrous scenes here in race number 3 in the opening round of 2026. And everywhere you looked, at every single moment tonight, there's been drama. More so there as McGonigal gets into the back of Brewster, and Brewster runs off the road and will drop 1, 2, maybe even 3 positions as he gets split Hacken and Schumacher style there. I think he's just going to hold on in front of the Speed Eagles car of Cherzan. The Toyota wasn't quite able to capitalise, but he does lose out to the other Alliance Ford of Lua, who's up into 12th place and having a miles better time in race number 3 than he did in race 1 or 2 earlier on this evening. Callum Wilson, meanwhile, your race 1 and 2 winner, he's up to P6 after a pretty crazy opening few laps. A solid start there from the BMW driver in this reverse grid race. He started from P10 and already up into P6.
He is, and he's doing lovely job already. 4 laps in, he's gained 4 positions. That's a position per lap, and he looks to be gaining 2 more very soon here. Saraima, one of the drivers I mentioned to keep an eye on, as I thought he'd be climbing up the field alongside Wilson. He seems to be doing so as it stands, but I think Wilson will love to leave him behind him very soon, and he might look to do so here down the inside as well. That's one of the Toyotas off into the grass. I think that might have been Sterenberg, and it was Sterenberg indeed. He's dropped to 4th. He's been overtaken by Taylor, and Wilson has just overtaken Saraima. They're going to look to overtake Sterenberg as well, and he does so. Saraima gets past Sterenberg as well, and he goes round. No, he doesn't. He saves it, but he takes Sterenberg with himself, and he goes round indeed. And that's Saraima round across the track, lucky not to take anyone with himself, and he's dropping all the way down. Everything that he's gained completely lost, and he nearly takes that Ford out with himself. I think that was Lua who's just dropped 3 positions because of it as well. So, that's Brewster now being spun around, I think, by Cherzan. So a lot to unpack here in the first sector that has happened. Brewster contact with Cherzan and Saraima contact with Sterenberg. I think there's a lot to look back on here, as there's yellow flags in sector 2 as well. I think that was Swede dropping down And he's still dropping down as well. He's gone. Oh, there's someone else spinning in the back as well. I think that might have been Wickens in the Hyundai. It was indeed. He's still yellow flags being waved around. He's still got it. No damage seems to be done to the Hyundai other than tyre wear and flat spots. But nevertheless, we see cars in the pit lane. I think that was Brunel and another, I think, Hyundai. It is Tom Brunel, and there's a Vauxhall behind him in Alan Palmer. And it looks like Tom Brunel has called it quits for the third race. So definitely a lot to unpack of what happened there, Ross.
Well, the tagline of FRL is sim racing at its very best, and if this isn't sim racing at its very best, I don't know what is. What absolute drama and chaos we have been given at every twist and turn, every single lap this evening. Oh yeah, by the way, Callum Wilson's up to second. That's a thing that's happened. It's just, yeah, got his way through Taylor now. It's lap 6 of 18, we're a third of the way through this reverse grid affair. Wilson in the BMW has worked his way up into second place. 7.5 seconds though is the gap back from Messina to himself. So he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to catch him. Of course, he'll need to be looking after those Goodyear tyres as well as he makes his way through Goddard's and heads on to lap number 7. The gap will come down. Wilson has been the class of the field so far this evening, and it continues to be so. Gap's already down to 6 or 7 seconds, should I say. This could get really interesting at the end of this race. Messina just needs to keep his cool and keep hitting his marks. Wilson clearly has more pace at this phase, or at this moment in time anyway. It's going to come down to how much tyre does the Cupra have left, I think, when Wilson catches him, and then what defensive efforts is he able to put through. We'll wait and see. We've got a replay here. I'm assuming that this is one of the incidents we saw moments ago. Yes, indeed it is. Here is what happened with Dave Brewster, and he's actually dropped it getting on the throttle. Really, really interesting there. We've seen a couple of drivers do that, or lose the rear anyway. We've seen it more from front-wheel drive cars. You can see him, actually, no, there's actually contact. It's a gap that closes once he's already committed, and it sends him around. A little light glove tap, and Brewster goes spinning on the Exeter Edgate, and then just can't get the traction on the grass. Here's what happened to Tom Brunel in the Vauxhall, and just completely missed Goddard's, and then tried to correct it front end bit, and that was a trip through the gravel and through the grass as well, and that looks like he's decided to call it a day and end his round 1 action early as he parks it. Nope, gets going in fact, so maybe thought about it. Well, now he's down and out of the race anyway. Tom Brunel, a real shame for him. His round 1 is over. Here's the battle for P9 at the moment. McGonigal just ahead of Chazan and Sarema as it stands. The Toyota, can he find a way through as they come through the Kramer curves?
I think he might not be able to do it here, but later on the lap, I think he might be able to put up a fight against McGonigal. Although, again, he's got Alexander Sarema right behind him in that other Ford, hungry to climb back again to what is lost, having been pegged down by Michel Sterenberg. And I think Cherzan would have in his best interest to get past McGonigal here, so that he would be the one fighting Sarema, and he does so indeed. Cherzan up into P9, so it's P6 all the way down to P9 for the Toyotas here, with a Ford in P10 and 11. And I think McGonigal is going to try and get back past Cherzan here. He's going to pull alongside him into the final chicane and get past him indeed. So McGonigal back up into P9, although Cherzan now, he thought of trying to make a move, but instead he has to defend from Sarema behind him. So Cherzan now here, he's stuck in a bit of a Ford sandwich, although it doesn't look like it'll be for long either. Sarema looked to have tried to move on the inside of turn 1 for better of it and went wide, as did Cherzan though. So again, Cherzan in a bit of a Ford sandwich. Does he attack McGonigal and leave him to Sarema and then worry about Sarema later? Or does he battle Sarema now? Well, it doesn't look like he'll have much of a choice here. There seems to be, that's I think Cree. Oh, there's contact again between Sarema and Cherzan. They're off both into the gravel. Cherzan loses his rear wing on the Toyota, having hit the tyre barriers backwards. He's dropping down to all the positions. He's gone up down into 13th. He's been passed by Dave Brewster and Sergei Soroka. Gordon's gone past him as well. I think he's dropped all the way down to P16. So I was saying that Cherzan will not have much of a choice there going uphill, whether he'll be able to defend or attack, and he really didn't. I think that was Cree who might have lost time, and well, you can't really say impeded because he was for position, but he put a spanner in the works for Seraima and Cherzan and McGonigal as well. And again, I really don't know what to think of that, having looked at both angles.
Yeah, it was a bit of an interesting one, wasn't it? And well, it's just touring car racing, isn't it? Chaos every single lap, every single corner, no matter where you look, at the front of the pack or down the back, something's going on, isn't it? But they'll continue onwards regardless, as Cree now trying to put some pressure on McGonigal up the run into McLean's. Nowhere near close enough is that 42 Zach Gamble machine, as he'll maybe try something through, or on the Exeter Coppice, should I say. But again, not expecting much. Maybe we'll get the run on the Alliance Ford just in front of him. And in fact, does get the run. Could very well have the inside into Goddard's. Will definitely have the inside into Goddard's. Will definitely have the move done. Sam Cree moves up into 8th place. Textbook maneuver there from him. But it was wonderfully executed. Got a great run onto Starkey Straight. Just with the inside, later on the brakes, nice and tidy and easy as you like as well. Drobnik now trying to put pressure on Hayden Sweet, just in front of him in the battle now for P10 is up in front. It actually looks like that Cree and no, what am I talking about? I'm losing my mind. I thought they'd swap back, but everything's a-okay. But Sweet now maybe trying to put pressure on McGonigal. Cree or Drobnik behind, putting pressure on him. Looks like there's been a mistake for Cree, because suddenly the two Fords are both tripping over the back of him. And now Cree runs very, very wide through McLean's. Through goes McGonigal, surely through goes Hayden Sweet as well, and yes he will, and both the Fords are through, and we've maybe got Toyota on Toyota drama behind as well, as Drobnik nearly gets taken out by Cree on the way into Coppice. Now to the inside, Cree's on the grass down the straight, and Cree will surely lose out to Drobnik into Goddard's, will lose out to Drobnik into Goddard's, and what started off with a fantastic move to get up into P8, suddenly Sam Cree, at the snap of your fingers, is back down into 11th.
He is, but he doesn't look to be set there for much longer, and it wasn't for the reason I thought it would be, as he goes head on into the tyre barrier, dropping down further and further down into P14, might be even more, and it is going to be more. I think that's P15, P16 now. That is dropped all the way down to, I was going to say that it looks close enough still to try and make a move potentially on one of the cars in front of him and keep challenging them. But in the end, well, the commentator's curse happened before I could even say anything. And he just went into the gravel, clipped it, and went off into turn 1, into the barrier, and not much he can do really there, other than pray for as little as damage as he can get. As someone else is off into the gravel, I think that might have been Seraima, because no, it's McGonigal who's lost 2 positions now to Sweet and Seraima, as that's one Ford losing 2 positions in front, as one BMW has caught another. Sergei Soroka, again, he was so unlucky at the start of the race, has climbed back up again to P13, now challenging for P12 against Dave Brewster. And I think if he gets past him quick enough, I think he might be able to challenge one of those 3 Fords in front as well. Especially McGonigal, because he's dropped down so far after going off into the grass. It seems like he's got no pace or confidence at all in that Ford, Ross.
Yeah, he's really struggling at the moment, isn't he? And it's once again just chaos here on lap number 13 of 18. Brewster looking very, very racy behind the wheel of that BMW at the moment. Soroka right there as well, and McGonigal again it's similar to what we've seen from Cree. He's been running very, very well, and then literally in the space of about a lap, it's all started to fall apart. Soroka, nice move there up the inside of Coppice. On Brewster, gets it done and up into P12, could very well be P11 very, very quickly. He's flashing the lights, trying to distract the driver in front. He'll look to the inside, but McGonigal covers it off nicely and will maintain that position for the time being. But Sergei Soroka through very, very nicely. Up the front, gaps now under a second between Messina and Wilson in this battle for P9. Hayden Sweet is going to get to the inside of Alexander Sarema and move through. Ford on Ford action, and it is Sweet that it pays off better for, and just in front of him is Drobnik as well. Further back, looks like it has been a move there by Soroka on McGonigal. He's managed to get through, and looks like Brewster now trying to join the fun at the outside of Starkey's Bridge, and will sweep in before they even get to McLean's, and that is up into P12 for the BMW of Dave Brewster on lap 15 of 18. Off the road now goes McGonigal as well, and surely you're thinking, has he run out of rubber? Has he run out of tyres for that Alliance Ford? Because he was running so well, and suddenly he's just going backwards. Here are your two leaders. Messina is only a handful of laps away from a race 3 victory, but Callum Wilson wants to make it a hat-trick in this reverse grid race number 3.
He might be able to do so, you know, because with 3 laps left now, he seems to be in complete unbuffered control of that BMW. The tires will be worn by now, but it seems like he's completely unaffected by a tire wear that is going to be on that BMW. He's gained 2/10 through that section of corners we just went through, and I think he might be able to make a move on Messina here into turn 1. It's just a question of how he takes the final chicane. They both take it very well, and I think I might be eating my words sooner than later, because Messina seems to have gained a 10th on Wilson there. Something has happened in the back because there's yellow flags, and I think Sareem has dropped back down from what he's gained, because now he's become McGonigal again, and there's still yellow flags in Sector 2, so something has happened. Is Drobnik dropping down now? Or it's Brewster dropping down as well, so something has happened between Brewster and Saraima that we've failed to see.
Or was he getting involved with the traffic potentially? Brewster went for a gap that got closed, and Brewster once again into the wall, the same place. A similar incident to what we saw in race number 2, and Dave Brewster could well be down and out. In fact, is down and out. He becomes our 4th DNF of race number 3 alongside Brunil Lua and Alan Palmer. Look at how close Wilson is to the back of Carlo Messina. He wants this hat-trick. He needs this hat-trick in the reverse grid race number 3. But Messina, with a great last-ditch attempt in qualifying, got himself onto 2nd on the grid in race number 1. Then his hardware died. He had no throttle. He went nowhere and got crashed into. Had to fight his way from 22nd to 9th in race number 2. How sweet would this redemption be if he's able to take it in race number 3 as they come through the Craner curves on the penultimate lap. And this is as tight as you like. One of these two is going to win this race, pending a disaster. The question is, Lorenzo, which one will it be?
I think it might just be Messina, because he's got a point to prove. Again, as we mentioned before, he qualified P2. He was so unlucky in race 1 to not be able to start at all because of hardware issues, and then he climbed back up in race 2 all the way up to the top 10. He started 2nd, he got that lead immediately on the starting lap, and now he's had it for the entire race. It would be heartbreaking for him to lose it on the last lap. And I think again Wilson is going to be equally as hungry, because he wants that hat-trick. He's got 2 wins already today, and I think he's going to want that 3rd one. So whoever wins today, I think it'll be completely deserved, and I think it's going to be an amazing battle as Callum Wilson tries to make a move on the inside, but he did lock his tyres ever so slightly, although he does get into the lead as it stands going downhill. Messina is still somewhat there, but he pulls behind now, which means Wilson coming into the final lap, he's taken the lead for the first time in this race, loose on the rear end there. Through the old hairpin, will that allow Messina to close the gap ever so slightly? It does appear to be so because the gap has gone down, but I don't think he'll be able to make a move here, especially considering the difference between the two cars of the Cooper and the BMW. Although he's still so close, it might just be a difference in setup here, and I think down the backstretch here, Ross, we might not find out who's going to be a winner for here.
Has Wilson saved the best magic till last? Has Messina got anything? He's going to have to go the long way round into Goddard. Who's braver on the brakes? Side by side we go. Messina holds it. Messina liberal with the track limits. Wilson gets the run. Wilson makes it 3 from 3. A hat-trick to open the season. What a way to end this race. What a drive from Callum Wilson from 10th to 1st to make it a clean sweep at Donington Park. And Carlo Messina did nothing wrong in that one, but just got caught out at the end. He still takes the front wheel drive victory, of course, but it is Callum Wilson who has been the class of the field this evening to kickstart the season. McGonigal still fighting with Drobnik down to the bitter end. Drobnik's going to hold on for that P10, for that final top 10 position. Wow, what a race, what late drama. Callum Wilson with a brilliant move, with a brilliant drive, and then late in the race, late in the final lap, it looked like Messina could have found a lifeline, could have found his way back through at Goddard's as they went side by side through the final chicane. But Wilson held true, held firm, and took his 3rd win of the season. 3 out of 3 in 2026. It's Callum Wilson with a brilliant drive. And once again, he has been the most dominant driver this evening. He has been the absolute class of the field. And I tell you what, Lorenzo, if that's not a statement of intent, I know it's early to be thinking about the championship, but if that's not a statement of intent for the championship going forward, I don't know what is.
I think after today's display, Callum Wilson has certainly put himself as the main name for that championship win. Although I don't think he'll be the only one gunning for that. Obviously, we saw how well Messina held out, and I think it's going to be a very lovely battle between the two of them for the championship, with a couple more people brought into that mix as well. But after the 3rd race today, it is yet again Callum Wilson on that top step of the podium. Carlo Messina, after a cracking effort, loses the lead on the final lap in the final corner. Jason Taylor in 3rd place, another great display from the Englishman in the other BMW. Dave Goodway, a very good P4 for himself. Antonis Paparinopoulos in P5 this time around, but still a double podium today, which he can be very proud of himself. Mitchell Sterenberg down in P6 and Marcin Morel, yet another Toyota, in P7. Sergei Soroka climbs his way back up after that opening lap to P8. Great effort by the Ukrainian. Hayden Sweet in P9 and Artur Drobnik to round out the top 10 in that Toyota. In P11, Jordan McGonigal in the other Toga. Alexander Seraima, after some unfortunate incidents and some just flat out bad luck, down in P12. Kan Skuma in that Hyundai P13. Milos Cherzan in P14. Doug Wickens in P15. I think that's, I'm not quite sure what the first name is, but that's D. Gordon P16. Sam Crean P17. Abdullah Arayevin in P18 in the Soul Infinity. And then our DNFs for today. Dave Brewster in that BMW in P19. Alan Palmer in that Vauxhall P20. P21 Craig Lower in that Ford, and then Tom Brunel in P22, the first of our DNFs and the last of our cars in race 3.
Oh, shall we take a breath, shall we? Goodness me, that was absolutely chaotic, wasn't it? What a way to kickstart our 2026 season here in the FRL British Touring Car Challenge. 3 unbelievable races, brilliant drives all throughout, plenty of touring car chaos as well. And well, if you're not excited going forward, I think you're just watching the wrong esport, quite frankly, because that was absolutely superb, and it's been a fantastic evening of racing. Again, though, Lorenzo, there's only really one major story we can take from it, and it is just the absolute domination from Callum Wilson behind the wheel of that BMW, just absolutely flying, and nobody could get anywhere near him.
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously, having not seen him drive before, I think it was a massive bombshell, at least for me personally, and I think it might have been a big bombshell for anyone who didn't know him as well, but he certainly put himself out there on the map, especially here, and I think, I mean, again, he might just be the main contender for the championship after this opening round, and yeah, there's not much else to say. I think, seeing as we're going to be doing a couple of interviews, if we can get him for an interview, he might be able to say better than any of us could.
We'll wait and see. No one currently in the interview room, so we'll just hang about for a moment. But yeah, it has been an unbelievable performance there from Callum Wilson this evening. Hopefully we are able to grab a few words out of him, if not somebody else. That is round 1, though, of the FRL British Touring Car Challenge, done and dusted here at Donington Park National Layout. Next time out will be on the 12th of May, when we head to Kent. Brands Hatch Indy awaits us for round number 2. And then we'll run you through the rest of the calendar as well, just so you know what you can be looking forward to. Off to Snetterton for round 3 on the 26th of May. Round 4, Alton Park on the 9th of June. Thruxton is round 5 on the 28th of July. Then it's halfway through the season, and we're off above the border to Knockhill on the 11th of August for round number 6. Round number 7, back here to Donny, but the GP layout got that little extra bit at the end to enjoy. And then round 8, we're off to Croft on the 8th of September. Round 9, Silverstone on the 29th of September. And of course, the traditional BTCC finale will be heading to Brands Hatch once again, the GP layout, on the 13th of October to round out our season. 3 races done, 27 to go. It looks like there's not going to be anybody fancying an interview, unfortunately, Lorenzo. So I think we may have to call...
No, I do see a couple of people, and oh, there we go. We have got Callum Wilson with us. Callum, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly fine. Welcome to
Nice.
the interview section of the stream.
Thank you, thank you. How you doing?
We're doing quite fine. Thank you for asking. What about yourself after that very impressive opening round?
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that last race was a lot of fun. A little bit to do with the reverse grid, but a bit sweaty now. But yeah, really good fun. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah. Well, what have you got to ask our triple race winner today, Ross?
Hi, Callum. Brilliant night from yourself. Some fantastic performances. I was mightily impressed with your drive through the field there in the reverse grid race number 3. But just did notice, not to criticise or anything, but did notice you seem to be struggling to get away at the starts. Both race 1 and 2, you dropped away from pole across the course of the first lap. Was there an issue with the car, or was it just something you were struggling with a little bit yourself?
I think it's on me, really. So I use the like the Fanatec wheel with the double clutch paddles. And I think I've reset my settings so when I let go of one of the clutch paddles, it should bite and go. But I think I've sort of unmapped it, so it just bogged instantly. So in the last race, I just was like, oh, I'll put it in neutral, just floor it, and off we go. And that worked a lot better, actually. It still wasn't a perfect start, but much better than, I don't think I lost any positions on that one. So yeah, it made it a bit more fun. But something to improve for next time, that's for sure.
Awesome. That's all from me, Callum. Anything else from you, Lorenzo?
Yeah, I've got a question, obviously, Callum. Myself personally, I haven't seen you drive in FRL before, so if you're a newcomer, very warm welcome, and you've put yourself certainly out there on the spot. Obviously, it's a 10-round championship this year with 3 races each round. Do you reckon after such an impressive round today, do you have in your mind the consistency to do as well as you did today for the entirety of the season and possibly clinch the championship, if not by the end of the round, if not by, well, quite a bit earlier on than by the final round?
I guess we'll see. I mean, like, full disclosure, I've driven this car and these tracks a lot just in other leagues. So kind of any excuse I can see a league to hop in and drive it, I'm like, oh yeah, why not? Put me in something else, you won't be seeing anything like the same level of performance. But I've got to say, Jason Taylor tonight really ran me close at pace all night. I think really, if you look at like the average lap times, it's probably only a couple of tenths a lap off. But so I'm not expecting to have it all my own way, but just hoping to have fun with it and see where it goes.
Alright then, well, I think that's everything from me, unless anything else has popped into your mind, Ross, but...
No, that's
Yeah.
everything from me.
Alright then, well, Callum, was absolutely lovely to hear from you and to see you drive. That's all from us, and I wish you all the best for the upcoming rounds and the rest of the championship.
Yeah, cheers, and thank you for hosting a really good stream. I've just been watching some of it back, and it's really top quality, so good job, guys. I look forward to doing some more. I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Well then, great to hear there from Callum Wilson. Do you know if anybody else is waiting, Lorenzo? Or I can't see anybody unless I'm looking in the wrong place.
I think we could be having Antonis Paparinopoulos in. I'm just trying to figure out how to get him in, because this works a bit differently to what I'm used to. Or we could have Carlo Messina after him as well. But for now, we are joined by Antonis Paparinopoulos. Antonis, can you hear us?
Yes, very clear. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you as well. Welcome aboard.
I was going to ask, okay, nice.
Take it away, Ross.
Hi, Antonis. Yeah, great driving from you tonight. Couple of front-wheel drive class wins from you as well. So I'm sure you're very happy with how it overall went. Do you just want to ask though, were you struggling with tyre wear at any point in that one? Because it looked to be it wasn't just you, but a lot of the front-wheel drive cars really started to drop off the pace towards the end of the race, or the races. So was tyre wear really a massive factor that was kind of holding you back towards the end?
Yes, exactly that. At least, yeah, for us, with front-wheel drive, I think after half race maybe, it was really bad for the front left tire. In the first couple of races, I was ahead, so I didn't try to push a lot, but still I destroyed. But in the last race, I tried to see it as a test, and I changed something in the setup, but I think it was worse. So yeah, I couldn't keep up with Dave. He had a great race. So yeah, all in all, we had a very nice 3 races. I really enjoyed them. I tried also to stay with BMWs, but yeah, these guys were super fast for us.
No, of course, but at least next time we're off to a Brands Hatch, which should be a track that prefers the front-wheel drive cars a lot more. So do you think maybe you'll be maybe a bit more competitive and able to try and at least match the BMWs that time?
I was surprised that we matched them in the start, because I expect them to go away, but in the first races we were ahead, so that make things a bit spicy. But in the first 5 laps, I think we can fight, at least in this track. But after 5-6 laps, their pace were yeah, very good. So let's see. I don't know in another track. Let's see. I hope.
Awesome stuff. Lorenzo, anything from you?
Yeah, we've got just one question, obviously. I'm going to be asking this to everyone, seeing as it's the opening round. Antonis, obviously. Big congratulations. Out of the 3 races today, 2 podiums, 2 P3s. Do you reckon, obviously going into Brands Hatch, which is going to favor your car more, do you reckon you might be able to improve on that double podium and on those P3s and potentially get a second place, maybe a first place, and climb up in the championship and put some pressure on the likes of Callum Wilson and James Taylor for that championship charge?
That's that. I hope so. To be honest, I think in other tracks maybe because in this track you can pass a little bit easy. I think so. Maybe in other tracks where passing is difficult and in the verse grid, and we will try and give them a harder time. But it won't be easy for sure. It won't be easy. I have no idea if the next track suit my car. I haven't been there. So yeah, we'll now go in this week and try to test some things. For sure, I will try some different setups.
All
So
right
yeah,
then.
let's see how it goes.
Yeah, that's all from me. That's all from you as well, Ross, I think. So, yeah, Antonis, it was absolutely lovely to see you out there on the track. It was absolutely lovely to have you on here with us to give us an interview. So yeah, best of luck for the remainder of the championship. And yeah, we hope to see you again in Brands Hatch.
Thank you very much, mate, and I really appreciate it. And thank you both guys and everybody who set up the race and host us, and you guys for the stream. I really appreciate it, and thank you for that.
Not a problem, mate. Thank you for joining us here.
For sure.
Right then, so that is Antonis done and over with, which means this should be our last interview for the night coming up. There we go. Carlo's here with us. Carlo, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Lovely. Right then. Do you want to start again, Ross, or do I start this time around?
You can go ahead this time.
All right then. Well, Carlo, absolutely lovely to have you here with us.
Thank you.
And yeah, obviously a bit of misfortune for the first race, but the second and third race much better.
Yeah, first race, I don't know what happened. Game doesn't work, throttle doesn't work, and I see that too late. And sorry for the guys on the grid because I was stand there, I can't do nothing. So race 1 is go in the trash. Race 2 better, some incident, some contact. I didn't know the place in race 2 gave me second position race 3, and I'm happy for race 3. The one race I did good because the car was perfect, no damage. The wheel was perfect. Race 2 I had the wheel crooked. I did all the race with difficult to turn left. So Donington had 2 turn left. That 2 turn was very dramatic for me in race 2. But okay, I finished the race. I got a podium. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, you put in a stellar performance for race 2 and race 3, obviously. You say race 2 was a bit weaker than race 3, but race 2 especially set you up for race 3 because you put in a great charge starting all the way in 24th, climbing up to P9. So I wouldn't discredit that either, but we saw how quick you got into the lead in race 3 and how you held it for most of the race up until Callum Wilson caught up to you. What was going through your mind seeing that gap slowly drop in the ending of race 3?
I know Callum. I already have races with him, and I already know what happened. I know he's fast, and every lap, see the gap closer. And only thing I could do was keep my boost and have a fight when he was behind me. Tried, but P2 it's okay. Try to
All right.
defend.
Yeah. Any questions from yourself, Ross?
Yeah, hi Carlo. Obviously, a really disappointing
Hi.
way to start the season with that issue on the grid in race number 1. But you fought back really well from the back in race 2, and then of course nearly took the overall win in race number 3. If you think you hadn't have had that issue, do you think you would have been fighting for the wins in all 3 races?
No, I think no. Callum is too fast for. Callum is too fast. He's even too fast with a front wheel car. With Ben Bloom is impossible to have his space. I can fight for podium for sure, but the win it was impossible. Cobra doesn't like Donington. I don't know why, but every time with I have races with Cobra on Donington, it's not. I didn't have well races.
Awesome stuff. Well, that's everything from me, unless there's anything else left from you, Lorenzo.
Well, just one small question. Obviously, I said I'm going to ask that everyone who comes in here. Carlo, you said yourself you might not be able to challenge Callum for the wins, but you can definitely challenge for the podiums. Do you reckon if you're consistent enough through the season, you might be able to challenge Callum, if not for race wins, for the championship overall?
Maybe. I don't know. We don't know what happened with the next races.
That is a fair enough mentality to keep, and I think that's everything from the both of us then. So, Carlo, thank you again very much for joining us on track and for joining us here for an interview. And yeah, that's all from us too. And we've set you free. Take care, and we hope to see you in Brands Hatch. And good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys. A pleasure to stay here with you.
Likewise.
Well then, I think that's all we've got time for here, Lorenzo. I think we'll call that one a day, but what a way to kickstart 2026. And yeah, that was certainly exciting, to say the least.
It was indeed. And we saw some amazing racing, some unfortunate incidents towards the back, some, again, amazing racing towards the front, great battles, especially in race 3. We saw great battles all across the grid, really, not just for the lead. And if that was any indication for what the entire season will be, then I'm very well excited for what the rest of the season will bring as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us for the opening round of the 2026 FRL British Touring Car Challenge. We hope you've enjoyed. It's certainly been exciting for us here in the commentary box. We'll catch you next time when we head to Brands Hatch.